Hi, everyone. We're all here to try and answer some questions that everyone sent in. I'm Dane Rawlins, and the others will introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Anna Mervelt. I'm at the moment with Esperine in Germany, near Landsberg. That is in Bavaria. The biggest town beside us would be Munich.
And Heike?
I'm Heike Holstein. I am currently in Carbery in County Kildare in Ireland.
And Judy?
Hi, Judy Reynolds here. I am in my tack room in the yard in Germany. We are close to Dusseldorf.
And I'm in the UK at the moment, very close to Hicksted. Unfortunately, Kate can't join us this morning. She's got real internet problems, or that, or she didn't pay a phone bill. We're not sure yet. But so I've got lots of answers that she sent in that when we get to her questions, we'll deal with it. So the first victim for question, Anna, is you. And you've got a nice, easy one here. How do we get a reluctant horse on the bit?
Okay, so I think this is actually a question that a lot of people would like an answer for. It's quite a vast answer, so yeah, sit down and enjoy. I think there's always a reason why your horse is reluctant to go in the bit. Important is that, number one, because I'm not sure about what sort of horse we're talking about, is to assess your horse. What horse do we have? Do we have a young horse? Do we have an older horse? Do we have a jumper that is being turned around to be a dressage horse? Or is it a horse with a lack of education? So what kind of horse do we have here? Number two, I would also say make sure to check, does my saddle fit? Is my saddle pinching somewhere? Has it got a good fit? Is it well balanced? Does my bridle fit? Is it too tight around his ears? Is the bit the right size? Is it the right width? Is it fitted correctly? Not too high in the mouth? And is my girth comfortable? So if I know that all these things are comfortable for my horse, then we can begin. So what am I going to expect from my horse? Also there, I have to see whether my horse is old, young, etc. We don't want to ask too much at the beginning, but we do want to say that we have to have him on our aids. So a reluctant horse, normally, number one problem is he will be behind the leg. He's either stiff to one side or on both. He probably will lose impulsion on turns and circles. And these are all things that we have to improve. The key to getting your horse onto the bit is not to use our hands or to pull. When any resistance occurs, it's legs first, not hand. So the first foremost, how do I get my horse reactive to the leg? I'm not going to go into big detail here because I think there's a question later on which covers this. The other thing we have is we can make our horse more supple using circles, increasing, decreasing my circle, working on the general flexibility of my horse. Half halting is another key to bringing my horse onto the bit, and it is used to activate and engage his hindquarters. Half halting is literally half halting. A nice exercise to do is to already in walk, is to walk, halt, think of halting, and then as soon as you get a little bit of resistance, walk on again without pulling. Another nice little exercise to do is to leg yield, to make your horse reactive to the leg, not only in forwards, but also in sidewards. These are just a few things that you can use to help you push your horse onto the bit and not to have to pull him onto the bit. I hope this helps.
Cool. Is it that easy?
No.
No, that's great.
I think there are also there are many other things. I think it's very difficult without seeing the horse, not knowing the standard of the rider, not knowing the standard of the horse. But these are basic things that I think can be used. And for me, the key is that it's not from front to back. It's always from hind legs towards the bridle.
Right. Super. Right. You happy with that? We do the next question.
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Right. This is for Judy. What's the best way to get a horse who is dead to the leg to extend in his strides?
Okay, so a lot of the same things apply that Anna has just gone through. You want to assess your horse. You want to know what stage of the training is the horse at, what stage of training is the rider at. But once you have assessed those things, so if really the answer is in the question, the horse is dead to the leg. So first of all, you have to fix this problem. Otherwise, the horse won't extend through its body. So to work on this, I would do many small transitions. It's not about riding the horse forward for the full 60 meters length of the arena. It's about looking for the reaction. So I would encourage the horse to go forward, and if I get even a small reaction to start with, I would reward the horse and let it come back to me after maybe even just 5 meters or 10 meters, and I would keep repeating this until the horse goes forward from a smaller leg aid. And only when the horse is reacting from a small leg aid and that he is truly in front of the leg and pulling into the hand, can you then actually expect the horse to lengthen the stride. If the horse is behind you, behind your leg, you'll never get him to truly lengthen. So as I say, he has to be a little bit sharper off the leg, pulling you forward, and then you essentially just have to let him out in front of you.
Cool. Very good. Okay, you happy? Everyone? Anyone else got anything to put into that, or you're quite happy with that? I am.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, we'll move on to question 3 then. This is for everyone to answer quickly in your own. What's your top horse's routine at the moment? Do you want to start with Anna?
Okay, so I'm, as I say, in a stable in Germany, and which has got beautiful place to hack out. At the moment, we're working only on fitness, fun, keeping them happy, and just now and again, well, not now and again, probably once, twice a week, schooling the things that we're not so good at. And otherwise, his week routine would be once, twice dressage training. Then he does cavaletti and small jumping session. He'll also go out hacking twice a week up through the woods, hill work. And then we throw in a day of just maybe hacking around on the head collar and the lunge and grazing and turnout. That's more or less what we're doing.
Oh, and okay, that's great. A hiker. How about your horse?
So Zambuca goes in the field every day for about an hour. She tends to get a bit porky when she's not in work. So I had her nice and fit and trim, so I'm trying to keep that. So I work her, but I vary the work, like Anna was saying. I don't jump her because she's afraid of heights. But we do lots of varied flat work, but I need to keep her kind of fit and not too chubby. And then, yeah, so same as.
Okay, that's great. I'll read out. Kate sent an answer in. I'll read Kate's out. So she said Fabio is still in work at the moment. He's ridden 5 days a week. Mostly I'm working on keeping him supple and loose with a lot of stretching and work over the back. He has 2 days a week where the work is a bit more intense, and he also goes on the walker 4 to 5 days a week to keep his fitness up, and has a turnout every day in the all-weather sand paddock, restricted turnout in his grass paddock an hour a day due to having to manage his waistline. So that's fabulous.
Everybody's having problems
me.
with the waistline.
Great. And how about you, Judy?
Well, I'm in the lucky position of that JP doesn't need to learn anything anymore for his tests that he does. So it's just about keeping him healthy and happy. So he, at the moment, does not go in the field. That is just due to the fact that the grass hasn't grown enough yet to keep him entertained. And he gets bored quickly and likes to run around. So that'll come a bit later in a couple of weeks once the grass has grown. But he gets ridden most days. It's just keeping a level of fitness again. With an older horse, you don't want to let them get too unfit because it gets harder to get them fit again. So he has to keep a certain level of fitness, but he doesn't really do any dressage movements as such. It's just about keeping the suppleness, keeping the flexibility, and if in doubt and I don't know what to do, I set myself a task of riding 20 transitions in each pace on each rein. That fills the time.
Great. Okay, I think that's pretty.
What about yours, Dane?
Well, very much the same as you guys. I mean, I don't turn him out. He's too big and he just would smash himself up. But he walks out 2 or 3 times a day. We don't put him on the walker because he is such a big monster. He'd take the walker for a walk itself, I think. But again, it's a matter of keeping, he has to learn some new things. So there are a couple of 3 days a week. We've started doing a bit of work with Kira with the Pixio. Can't quite get Joe into doing that yet, so we sent him the odd picture, but it's sort of a little bit of days, easy days, not so easy, or one of the girls rides him round and does a little bit just to keep him soft. So it's pressure on, pressure off, isn't it, just to keep them fit and attentive without hopefully boring them. So the same sort of thing I think as everyone is saying. It's that keeping that balance right, and it's a long year at the moment because there's no interruption with shows. We're sort of stuck at home, and I think the show adds a lot of variety, and we're just not getting that at the moment. So that's life. So we've got question 4. It says, this is for everyone again. Dressage is dressage is such an individual sport. What's it like now being part of a team? Far away, Heike.
It's great. I've been on a few teams before, but that was a long time ago. And last year at the European Championships, it was great. We all know each other a long time, and we had a week's training together before, and everyone bonded, and there was great team spirit, not just between the riders, but between all the grooms and the families and helpers. So it's a massive team. It's not just the team of the riders. And it was a great atmosphere.
It certainly was.
Yeah.
I think it was very, very noticeable also from the other teams in other countries that Ireland had such an amazingly good team spirit. Few people had actually said to me, my goodness, you guys are really having fun, and you can really see that there's an excellent team spirit. And I think that's so important, and we really, as Heike said, we know each other, and it was really great fun.
I think Judy, the great thing about Judy is that you've got Patrick, who we took along as a mascot, who entertained everybody from Isabel Worth onwards.
Yeah, he takes that role quite seriously. He likes to keep everyone entertained. But it's actually great having him there because he keeps the mood light and doesn't let it get too serious. While at the same time making sure that I focus on what I have to focus on, the job in hand. But I also found it, a huge change for me to be in that situation of being on the team, but a nice change at the same time. And it was a different type of pressure involved. But everyone was, so involved, and there was a great team spirit, as the others say. And, as Heike said, it wasn't just the riders, it was really, everybody, the backroom staff to, just everybody had a great goal in mind, and there was a great spirit about the whole thing.
And there was a lot of support from all the Irish people at home as
Oh, it's
well, which,
incredible.
you know, when I'd ridden on teams before, there was no internet, there was no Facebook, there was no WhatsApp, where you were literally on your own. And even if you were a team, you were on your own as a team. But now it's like thousands of people. So
Certainly was.
Yeah, it's really talking, you're really representing your country. The whole country is behind you, and that makes a real difference and makes it really, really special.
This is Kate's one on the team. So her answer on the team was, it's an interesting sport. Even when you're part of a team, you're also competing as an individual. But for her, being part of the team was a great experience. And having the added support at the competition, when you'd normally be alone, was quite an uplifting and motivating experience for her. Okay, so Heike, if you could own someone else's horse, who would it be and why?
Well, I don't know about owning someone else's horse, more riding someone else's horse. So there's been some amazing horses I would love to have had a chance to sit on, like Vallegro or Tortillas, just to see what they felt like. You know, they looked amazing. Lots of horses like that. Just to have ridden, not owned.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Then we can jump on then. This one's for me. Can you recommend exercises to help a horse who is not responsive to the leg? We're right back to question one, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's about them responding. And I think both Judy and Anna mentioned that they have to be alert and they have to be responsive. And you have to decide how much aid you want them to listen to. And then you have to be really insistent that they listen. And it's the suppling exercises, it's the moving forwards, and it's off the leg to the hand and not from the hand back to the leg. And I think when they do react to your leg and they start to sort of go, then everything starts to get easier. But if you just keep using stronger and stronger aids, you're going to get yourself into a very dark alley that you can't get out of. You have to just make them listen, and often just repeating the aid several times, just quietly repeating it, and you know they will start to listen. I always say to people, if I'm teaching, give them at least 4 or 5 heartbeats before you decide, because it takes a while sometimes to go from you telling them to their brain to them reacting, and then repetition. It's repetition and insistence that they listen to, the aid that you want them to listen to. I think it's just being insistent like that. That's for me. So I hope I got away with that one just about. Right, this is for everyone. What are your training tips to mitigate any adverse effects of the lockdown? Or are the horses getting equine cabin fever? Heike.
I think it's important, if you ride, that you have a plan. If you just get on your horse every day and you have no plan, you're just going to be clocking up miles and not achieving anything. So even if it's only a very small plan, just to have something on the agenda that you'd like to do in your riding session.
Great. Anna?
Nice.
Yeah, I quite agree. I think it's really important. With my horse, there are a few things that I really want to get a little bit better. I want to get a better trot. I want to have a more elevated passage. There are a few little points that I'm working on, and these are the things I'm doing now. And it actually works really well because there's no pressure. That's if it's not so good today, then you just keep on battling on. But there's you don't get interrupted in this work at the moment because you have a show coming up. You can actually stay focused on what you want to do without having any interruption. And I must say I'm enjoying working in this way.
Cool. And Judy, how about you? Cabin fever.
Yeah, I think like Anna just said, actually, it is great at the moment to have the time to focus on the horses, and particularly for me, for some of the younger horses, to really have the time to bring them up and move them along through the levels a little bit. At the start of the lockdown, I was like, okay, great, we're going to use this time, we're going to achieve something, we're going to have all these horses going better. But I think also at the same time, it's just important that we still let them have ups and downs, like, or as you said, pressure on, pressure off, because I think it's easy to get into too much of a cycle of must get better, must get better, must get better. Whereas, you know, normally when we go to the shows, they have these natural peaks, and then we let them down again, and then we build them up and we let them down again. So I'm still trying to incorporate that into the work, even though we don't have the shows to work towards.
Yeah, great. I've got an answer here from Kate as well. She said, in these uncertain times, we're all going to experience feelings of anxiety and uncertainty at one point or another. She says she feels very lucky that in the lockdown she's back in Ireland on the family farm, and she's able to spend time with the horses every day. And on saying that, it can still be a bit overwhelming not knowing what the future holds. And she's trying her best to turn a negative experience into a positive one by focusing more on the younger horses and the other areas. It's, you know, Tokyo being delayed, it's certainly set everyone back a little bit, but it could be a good thing in the end for us if Tokyo actually ever goes ahead. I mean, you just don't know what will happen with that now. But I don't feel cabin fever. I've got 60 meters of concrete to lay tomorrow, so so I'm doing lots of stuff on the farm. So there's no real. I think we're lucky in the horse world to be in an environment where there are so many things to do as a whole.
Very much so.
You know, we're not stuck in a town and can't get out, so we are rather spoilt. So certainly cabin fever. I think I miss the highs and lows of the show, because it certainly pinpoints where you need to be better if you go to a show, and it gives you something to say, well, I thought that was better than it was, now I've got to go and improve it. But otherwise, I think we're all on the same hymn sheet, aren't we? Very lucky to be doing it. So
what we're doing in between is we say maybe on Friday we're going to ride through a test, so you know, we work towards that a little bit, and then video the test and watch it back. And okay, it's not the same as being at a show, but at least you have to set a challenge and ride through the whole test in one go and see what happens. So it gives you a bit of an idea of where you're at.
Yeah. That's a good way of thinking about it. Really good. Right. We've got another one here for you, Anna. What are your tips for teaching? Get back. Sorry. What is the key to developing a soft, stable hand when riding? That's for you, Anna.
So the soft, stable hand, that's one everybody wants. Basically, the hand can only be soft if it's independent. And an independent hand can only be established if your seat is independent. And the seat can only be independent if it's balanced. So basically, we're looking to have a perfectly balanced seat. And our perfectly balanced seat can only be achieved with core strength. So like in every other sport, the core strength is actually one of our most important tools. So you can imagine if you're unbalanced and wobbling about on your horse or your pony or whatever, there's absolutely no way you can keep your hands still. So to work on your core strength is, of course, like every lesson everybody knows, onto the lunge, no stirrups, no hands, exercises on the lunge in walk, trot, and canter. Please on an obedient horse, not on something that's going to buck you off. And with somebody lunging that is experienced. I can remember when I was training at first in Germany, we were put on the lunge, and no stirrups and no reins, and we had a tennis ball which had a hole put into it, a string around our neck, and then we just held the ball and threw the ball from one hand to the other hand, from one hand to the other hand. We did that for a couple of weeks, and then we got mascara and lipstick put in our hands as soon as the hands got steady. Then you can see how steady your hand is when you're putting on your mascara or putting on your lipstick. And after weeks, it really, really made a huge difference on how steady our hands were, because our balanced seat was then established. So other things you can also do is, of course, it's very popular, is your Pilates is also a very good way of strengthening. The gymnastic ball, tipping chair back and forward, all these exercises really to strengthen your core, to have ultimately then your balanced seat and soft hands.
Cool. Fantastic. Right. Now we have another one for, Judy. Here we go. What are your tips for teaching a clean canter strike off to young horses, Judy?
Okay, so funny, this all seems to link in, but the horse has to be in front of your leg and reactive to the leg aid. That's initially the most important thing. With a young horse, I do like to have them that they react to a voice aid on the lunge initially, so that they know, and you don't have to chase them into canter on the lunge with the lunge whip, but that you really teach them on the lunge, whatever your voice aid may be, we just say, and canter, that they then strike off quite quickly. And then when it comes to transferring that to when you're on the horse, that again, you use the voice aid that they already know, and then combine that with the leg aid. Then when they become more established with that, you can use just the leg aid and leave the voice aid away. But the horse has to be reactive to the leg aid and in front of the leg to get a clean strike off. Otherwise, it's going to run at the canter by just getting faster in trot until it sort of falls into the canter on the forehand.
Cool. Very good. Very good. I'm sure we'll get some feedback on this somewhere down the way. So hopefully we're all saying the right things. That sounds sensible to me. Okay, now a question for everyone here. What, in your opinion, are the advantages of the Olympic postponement, if there are any? Heike?
The advantage for me is that we have time to improve. Zambuca still has to room for improvement in lots of things, and she needs to get stronger and more mature and more competition experience when we get back to competitions. So it's great to have the time to do that.
And Judy, how about you?
I'm not sure I see quite so many advantages at the moment. JP is an older horse, so there's definitely a question mark. As you know, a year is a long time for an older horse to have to keep going. But he doesn't know he's old. He thinks he's about 7 or 8, maybe 10. So we just try and keep that motivation in him and keep him, as I said earlier, fit and healthy. And then time will tell. He does seem to get better as he gets older, so we might be hitting 80% by next year in the Grand Prix.
Easily, absolutely, for certain. So how about you, Anna? How do you feel about it?
I'm much like in the position of Heike, because we have relatively inexperienced horses. And another year down the road for this type of horse will make a huge difference. Well, we're hoping it makes a huge difference if we don't only hack out and jump. So I'm just hoping to have him stronger, more mature also, and hopefully in winter we can we have a chance to do some sort of competition and just have that little bit more improvement in the horse. That's what I'm hoping for. For me, I can say it's good. For the team, I'm sad because I really would have. We need Judy and JP
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and that for me, it's if it happens that he couldn't go next year, then that would be very, very, very sad for us as a team. And so we'll just keep all fingers crossed that he feels like a 10-year-old also next year, Judy.
I bet he will. Anything you like, I bet he will. Yeah. So I think I've got an answer from Kate here as well, and it's the same thing. The first thing she says, "What's the advice? Time?" And she said, "We have more time to train and improve our performance." And certainly, my horse is a very inexperienced horse, and I feel exactly the same. You know that another year, hopefully, if we don't mess it up, he'll be better at things and have a better chance. But again, we definitely need Judy on that team. So you better keep telling him he's only 8 years old, really. I think that'd be the answer to that one.
Well, when he takes off bucking around the indoor, I think, yeah, he definitely does think that.
I've seen what he can be like. So I don't think you've got too many worries on his attitude, that's for sure.
No.
So, right, here we go. We've got, this is for you, Hiker. With upper level horses, do you still do in-hand work with them?
I personally don't. That is not my area of expertise. So I'm not very good at it and don't do it.
End of question. Anyone else do any hand work at all?
More so with the younger horses. Once they're established, tend to do less.
Yeah, I think once they get going. And how do you feel, Anna?
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, they have to piaffe by themselves in the arena. And as Judy said, it's mostly the young horses. Of course, in-hand work now and again, but otherwise it would be more for the younger ones, giving the idea of teaching the piaffe and getting a little bit more collection. But otherwise, I wouldn't be hand working my horse all the time.
No, I think that's for all of us, isn't it? Once they get the idea, you want to be able to do it on the back without sticks and whips, and
exactly
they've got to offer it to
sticks
you.
And whips.
Yeah. I mean, that's otherwise they just do it with there with the long whip, and they won't do it otherwise. So, and it depends on their nature. Some horses are hotter and some aren't. But I'm sure it's an advantage in some cases. But certainly my horse. Now he's got it. I just want good eyes on the ground telling me when I'm doing it right and when I'm messing it up. So that's the main thing. I mean, Joe just had a very good tip, because the last thing I sent out to him, Hinneman, he said, well, listen, forget the piaffe for the minute, just work on small steps forwards, kleine Tritte, and it's right, because then they start to activate behind and get going, and you sort of forget these things. So you do need somebody who knows telling you, I think, with these piaffe passages. And it's not always in hand work. Sometimes it's very good. And as I say, I think once, as you have all said, once they get the knowledge of it, you need to be able to do it on their back. And that's the way it goes. Super. The next one, I'm afraid this is for me. What do you recommend for a rider who rides with the lower leg far too back? Don't do it. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think we all get very bad habits of either tipping forwards, tipping back, whatever we do. I think any question like this comes down to having a good instructor with experience that is on top of you and saying, look, don't do this. Look, you're doing this. And you have to know about that. Somebody said to me once, you have to practice something 2,000 times before it becomes a muscle memory. And I can see that. I think you do need to be nagged on things like that, because you just don't realize that one toe turns out, or you're sitting a little bit crooked, or anything. And I think that comes to the same thing. Right. Next victim. Judy. This is for you, Judy. Have you ever show jumped or ridden a cross-country course, Judy?
Yes. When I was younger, with the ponies, we did everything. We did a lot of working hunter. We did hunting. We took them cross country. So really, we did everything and anything with them. Now we still do jump a little bit for variety, but we would never jump a course. Maybe 2-3 fences together. But now we don't show jump as such. But in the past, yes.
Yeah, and we'll ask everyone this one. How about you, Anna? Do you do much jumping now, or did you used to?
No, but I did. I evented. I show jumped. I hunted for years with the Kildare hunt, and with the Nace Harriers. I hunter trialed. I have done every sort of pony club games.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did pony club games as well. And they used to have the finals in the RDS. And I think when I was 12 or 13, I was on the team and we won the pony club games. And yeah, I've the typical Irish way to grow up, really, with horses or with ponies. I did the whole lot all the way through. Yeah, I loved it.
Heike, sorry, Annie, yeah, carry on. Heike, how about you?
Yep, I show jumped when I was younger up to grade C. It was at the time. I did schools, hunter trials, Kildare Pony Club. Same as Judy, we would have been in the same pony club. And yeah, I think it's important for a rider to be able to do a bit of everything. Gives you a better seat, gives you better information and knowledge about what other people are looking for, and gives you more skills.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I ran a hunter jumping yard before I got into dressage. So, yeah, but I think the last jumping I did seriously was with Will and Pippa. We went on some tour all over England. And William Funnell was riding the dressage horses and I was riding his jumping horses. But they were good horses, so they make you look good. So that's all right. And I'm sure it's the same for Kate. Okay, we've got another one now. Oh, yeah, here we go. Heike, do you have any tips to help a horse strengthen their push from the hind end?
Okay, so there's lots of things you can do. So going back to the first few questions about the horse needs to be in front of the leg and reactive to the leg, and the rider needs to be in a correct position. And then exercises you can do. So you're basically trying to strengthen up the horse's back end. So you need to be able to go and you need to be able to whoa. So anything like transitions going forward and coming back again, which is usually easier in canter than it is in trot for many people, where you would ride forward for a few strides and then half halts and collect the horse, trying to get it to sit behind a little bit, and then riding forward again, so it has to push forward from behind, and doing lots of exercises like that in canter and in trot then afterwards, just for short steps. And lateral work, I find shoulder in is very good for that, which can be done in all three paces, where the horse has to sit a little bit more, be a bit more weight bearing behind, and balance up in front and down behind. Lots of exercises.
Cool. Transitions, really, in one way or another. Yeah, fantastic. The next one's aimed at me, but I'm sure everyone would like to answer this. It says, how often would you school a horse in a double versus a snaffle? And what sort of work would you do in each? Well, for me, I ride mainly in a snaffle at home, but once I come to right up a couple of days before a show and during the show, I tend to have them in the double, and I do exactly the same work in both. And I think the snaffle really helps them to step into the double, especially if you get a horse that backs off a double a little bit, and the lightness of the double gives you a bit more agility. So certainly that's it. Anna, how do you feel about that?
I think you really have to. It depends on the horse. I think a very well-established horse can stay in a double bridle if you've got soft hands. I think it doesn't really matter whether you're in a double or a snaffle. I basically myself ride, as you say, mostly in the snaffle. And if the horse is uncomplicated, then I'd pop the double bridle on before the show, during the show, once or twice a week anyway. But as I say, it always it depends a little bit on the horse you're dealing with.
Yeah, some horses really are bad in a snaffle, and they're not. Yeah. They like the double. It just varies hugely, doesn't it? What do you think, Heike?
Yeah, as Anna said, it depends on the horse. With Zambuca, I ride her mostly in the snaffle. She goes the same, and whether it's the snaffle or the double. But I just like riding in the snaffle better. But I would ride her in the double coming up to a show once or twice So it isn't too hazy a memory.
So you get the dust off the double bridle.
Yeah.
How about you, Judy?
Yeah, it depends on the horse. JP, I would tend to ride him mainly in the snaffle until I want to do more high level work. JP is very forward horse. He can be quite strong at times, so the double just does allow me to be lighter with my aids. I can be finer in my riding with him when I want to do the high collected work if I have the double bridle on. So, you know, it just depends how much work he's doing. We do stick mainly in the snaffle, but, you know, if I want to work him that bit more, then he will go in the double. You know, and otherwise it depends, really. Some horses perform best. You have to learn your horse, but sometimes they perform best when the double bridle goes in for the first time. So you ride them the week before the show in the snaffle and you put the double on for the test, or the other way around. I have a young horse who needs to really go in the double bridle almost for months on end because he can be too light. So he has to learn to accept it and push into it. So, you know, we put it in him and leave it in him for extended periods of time, even if he's hacking out, just so he becomes more comfortable with it.
Yeah, I mean, it is the ultimate, isn't it, to be able to ride at Grand Prix in the double bridle. It's one of the tenets that we want to all try and be good at doing. So it's finding that balance. I mean, there's people saying some funny things, they should all be in snaffles at Grand Prix, but that's not the point. It's to get to that level of lightness. Whether you could, I reckon we could all ride our horses through a Grand Prix in a snaffle, but to get that extra control where you can just touch and feel as opposed to heave and tug, that's what we're looking for. Don't always achieve it, but it's what we're looking for.
Exactly.
Cool. The next one, Anna, is for you. What extra treatments and therapies do your horses get, i.e. water treadmill or ice boots or anything? Therapy rugs?
I'm actually a little bit old-fashioned in that way. For me, the best therapy for tired legs or worn legs is to ride them out into the stream and let the stream cool the legs. Not everybody has a stream. In Ireland, we're very lucky that they're beautiful streams that aren't too deep, and you can actually walk your horse into it, and after a working session into the stream, cool the legs, and then home you go. I think very important after riding for me, I do use the ice boots. I find them extremely good. I make sure to have a long enough cooling off phase, and then my ice boots and rugs, water treadmills. I actually don't. I don't use any of that. I've had really good experience with just ice or cold water.
Great answer. Okay, we're moving on now. We've got Judy. This is for you. What do your horses wear when turned out, and do they get turned out with other horses?
Yeah, we try and put them out in twos. Actually, virtually all our horses go out, or all of them do actually. We try and put them out in twos if we can, so that they have a friend. And generally, rug obviously depends on the weather. I always change the rugs from stable rugs to field rugs. I like them to have different rugs. I know it's a bit time consuming, but I like them to have their pajamas for in bed and field rugs for the field. So whether that be thick rugs, light rugs, or fly rugs. And then boot wise, I try to keep it simple. Front boot over each boot. That's it.
Cool. Brilliant. Straightforward. Okay, now we've got another one. This is for you, Hiker. What do you recommend to help a young horse with no dressage training to get started in dressage?
Okay.
The big question.
Yeah. So the first thing, it depends a bit on the skill level of the rider. So if we go with the rider is the same experience level as the horse, then I would first of all recommend lessons from somebody who knows what they're doing. And if you are at home and you're trying to introduce a young horse, or a green horse into flat work and you want to know what to do, a good guide to follow would be like the training scale, which you can look up on the internet. There's 6 things in that. The first 5 you need to kind of work towards, which is relaxation, rhythm number 1, relaxation, acceptance of the contact. Have you got impulsion, and is your horse straight? Is it straight on a straight line, and does it go straight on a curved line? So the same curvature left and right if you're riding on a circle. And they're kind of good guidelines, fundamental guidelines to have. But the main thing I would recommend would be lessons.
Yeah, you can't beat good training, can you?
Yeah.
You know, it's because it's that instant reaction to something. Great. Right, here we go. Now we've got, what is your strongest dressage movement? Well, I can answer mine when I get off the horse and put him in the stable. That's the best time for me. So Anna, what would be your strongest movement, do you think?
Well, I can only sort of decide on that one if I look over the horses I've ridden over years and competed. And I think it's obviously my canter pirouettes. That's where I've always got most points. And I would say, I'd say the canter pirouettes.
Cool. Judy, how about you?
I think I must have learned that from Anna. I think pirouettes are one of my strongest movements, and I also think I tend to have very straight flying changes.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Cool, very good.
That we do.
They come together though, don't they? In a way, the collection and the balance. And,
yeah.
Heike, how about you?
Well, Zambuca and me, the strongest points would be our extended trot and passage.
Cool. I've got an answer from Kate Dwyer here as well, and she says her strongest dressage movement with Fabio, so it does depend on horses sometimes, would be the flying changes and her piaffe passage too. She feels they're the things that she can get comfortable with and do the best with. I'm still trying to find out what mine are. They always told once the art of riding is to keep the horse between yourself at all time and the ground at all times, and that will do me. That's the best place to be. Right, here we go. What's the best piece of advice you would give your 20-year-old selves? Heike.
Well, follow your dreams.
Yeah, cool.
Brilliant. If you dream it, try and follow that and try and achieve your dream.
Fantastic. Anna?
Follow your dreams, yeah. Look to your talent and try and follow your talent.
Cool. Judy?
Embrace the sitting trot. People often ask me, how do I get better at sitting to the trot? The only way to get better at it is to do it. There is no exercise that can replicate it. You have to do it, and if you're struggling, take away the stirrups until it becomes easy.
Brilliant. That's a really good one. I've got an answer from Kate on that as well. If she was in that position, she would consider looking for a working pupil role in a professional yard, just to get the experience and to actually find out, to work hard. And I think the working hard thing is what everyone does. There are many more talented riders you knew at 20 that you don't see now. And, it is that application, and maybe stupidity is a better word, I don't know, but you like it. So, yeah, I think that's quite a good one, really, and a very big answer to all of it. Okay, there's another one here. What's the impossible question? What's your best advice to an ambitious young rider who has no funding and no horses? What could you advise them to do? Anna?
Oh, goodness me. What could you invite? Well, maybe to look for I don't know, a student job somewhere as a working pupil, to get an experience, to I don't know, at least some working and riding experience.
Anna, sorry, Judy.
Same, yeah. Go work for somebody that you admire, somebody whose riding you admire, and just try and work hard enough that they give you chances and chances to ride, and hopefully, you know, impress them and work your way up that way.
Yeah. How about
Yeah.
you, Heike? Same?
No, agree.
Yeah,
Horses
it's
can be very expensive. It's a very expensive hobby. So yeah, get experience, get a job, go as a working pupil, and go and listen in maybe to people who are teaching. If you can't go somewhere else, if they're teaching nearby, giving clinics, ask questions.
Perfect. I mean, I agree with all of that. It's the only way is if you can't afford it, you've got to go with someone who's going to give you a chance, and you've got to try and prove your worth. And many riders we all know have done exactly that. They've gone in and mucked out 50 horses and worked all the hours that God sends.
Absolutely.
And have gone on. And you can talk to so many people like that. I think there's perception sometimes with horses, certainly in the UK, that you all started off with a silver spoon in your mouth. And the reality is that's rare. You know, and even if you get it, if you don't work at it, you're not going to go anywhere. You've got to. This is a hard-working game. The last question we've got here, which is for everyone, but what is your favourite or most memorable moment from competing? Anna.
Oh, mine.
Yeah.
Mine was definitely the first Olympic Games I rode representing Ireland, and I remember riding around the arena and thinking as I saw the rings sort of beside me before I went into the arena, thinking, oh my God, this is really the Olympic Games. And I'll never forget that actual moment when it wasn't just a normal show. This was the Olympics because the rings were there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Heike?
Yeah, there's been loads. So like Anna said, competing on Olympic Games is something so special. It's totally different than any other show. And also I thought the Europeans was pretty unforgettable last year. You know, when Judy got the last score and we found out we qualified, that was a great moment. But there's lots of good memories with horses.
Judy, how about you?
There's two moments that really stand out in my memory, and it's both times that I've qualified for the Olympics. So back in 2000, beginning of 2016, when we qualified for Rio, I was competing in Doha. And when the score came out and we knew what that meant, that meant qualification, it was just pure elation in that moment. And I remember actually one of the other competitors turned around and said, it's so nice to see people actually, you know, have pure joy at the end of a test. So that was definitely one of them. And the second one is Rotterdam last year when we qualified the team. That was, I'm not always the most,
amazing. It was great.
I don't always show the most emotion at the end of my tests, but there's some pretty memorable pictures of me coming out of the ring there. And that's a really strong memory. Yeah,
it was fantastic. That was a hell of an effort last year. It was just amazing, and everyone did so well. It was incredible. And I've got one here from Kate as well, and she said being part of the team that qualified Ireland at the European Championships in Rotterdam, and also when Kate marvellously won the Grand Prix Special in Doha. That was very, very special for her, and you can understand that entirely. That's absolutely brilliant. So, great. Well, I think we're pretty well there, guys, and that's absolutely fantastic. I hope everyone's happy with their answers. You'll soon find out if you're not, because I'm being correcting you. But
we won't be back on again if weren't the good.
We'll come back on we'll tell the truth next time.